yeah, I'm looking forward to getting onto the session. And I'm just waiting for it to come up on the YouTube side of things, but you
It
never
is what it is.
know.
Yeah,
Deb,
I'm
I
doing
need
this
to know
little
how
thing.
you do this.
So I'm on a Mac.
I am too.
Okay, so there's a little camera up in the very, very top of your Mac screen. There's a green camera that should be showing your camera that's
That
green
doesn't
right
do
now.
that for me.
If you
Oh,
click
yeah.
on that green camera, one of the options should be
To do
reactions.
multiples? Oh,
Yep.
And then I can actually make it rain. Like
okay, but guys, we're
that.
live. Oh my gosh, that's really cool.
I can do balloons.
Okay, for everyone who's joined, thank you so much for joining us. We are here today for our webinar on how to choose the right AI for HR. We have our expert here, Deb, and we have Kate, who is co-founder and CEO of Opre, who is our sponsor today. We're going to hear from both of them very soon, but thank you both for joining.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
I'm super excited for this.
Letting us be silly with these.
I know
with
we've been playing with the thing. I don't have that activated, but Deb's got all the heart love coming out. So, like I said, we're here today to learn all about how to choose the right AI for HR. So we want to jump into that, but first we've got to introduce who is here today. So first, Deb, she's our expert. I would love to hear a little bit about you. Tell everyone about your background and why we should even listen to you today. I think it's going to be clear, but let us know.
Why would you even listen to this weird woman who's talking to you? I don't even know. So I'm not a tech person who learned HR. I'm an HR organizational development person who got obsessed with AI. I spent 24 years at Accenture and PricewaterhouseCoopers training executives and leading change. And so I know what it's like to be handed a system and then have to try and get everyone to adopt it. So that's basically my whole career. And AI is this thing that I am so glad that I was born at the right time so that I get to be a part of this because I love it.
I'm so excited. I think you've got such a great background and it's so relevant because I think having that broad experience really, really helps when it comes to thinking about, just seeing different parts of the business, seeing how you roll out, transformation. It all brings just different skill sets to the table. And I think that's why I love hearing from you because you have such an interesting perspective on things. So really looking forward to when we get to jumping into the main meat of today's session. But before that, we have lovely Kate with us. She's calling in from, I think,
Nashville.
Nashville. I'm terrible. I don't know. Don't ask me. Okay, I'm not American. Geography fail. We have lovely Kate here. She is, like I said, co-founder and CEO of Opre. I've been saying it wrong. I say Opre, but she's going to correct me and be like, Jessie, you got it wrong again.
Okay.
I very much appreciate you sponsoring this session today. It means that we can do these sessions free for everyone and everyone gets the learning and it really supports the community. So thank you. And tell me a little bit about you and then please jump into a little bit about your product because this is one of the products I taught you, I can't remember, maybe like a year ago. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I really liked what you were doing back then. And now I want to see like where you're at now. So I'm really excited for this as well.
I'm so excited as well. Thank you. And yes, we are in Nashville, Tennessee. Opry is a little nod to the Grand Ole Opry. So anyone who knows Nashville or has visited Nashville, the Opry is a famous musical stage and group that you get invited to. It's a career milestone, and we are helping managers to have that moment in their careers, right? That they have the recognition for being amazing leaders, because our mission has always been, since 2018 when we started this business, to help managers build healthy, high-performing teams. And that is something that AI now enables new ways of helping managers to do that. And so that's been the mission for a very long time. And I'm just excited that, we're here, Deb, we have experts in this field now. In 2018, everyone was like, "What's AI?" So that's great and wonderful. And then, in terms of helping managers build healthy, high-performing teams, you can't do that without bumping right into performance management and coaching. And that is what part of what our application does. So I'm going to do we're going to try and keep it to like 7 minutes, a quick demo. And if there will be some follow-up after this. So if you have questions or thoughts or comments, or you want to connect with me, LinkedIn's a great place. Getopre.com is a great place. We'll find you. But feel free to ask questions in the chat as we go into this. So I'm going to share my screen real quick so that you get an idea of what performance management in AI is and what it is not. So let me share my screen real quick
And
here.
just to add to this, I really love seeing this kind of tooling because it's one of, at least for the data that I had last time I did the data check on Stacked, it was the most searched for category in combination with AI. So AI and performance management is one of the most searched for things on the platform. We had over 22,000 visitors last year on the platform. So they're all HR, TA people like looking at tech. So I think it's very timely that we look at tech like this. It's on everyone's mind.
Yes, I believe that. It is. We're seeing a big increase in demand, which is exciting. Quick note on what performance management in AI is not. It is not built on the same old process as old performance management, right? The process was broken, and if you use AI to sort of enable that, you're just proliferating the bad things about the old process. So it's a new way of thinking about the process and the philosophy behind performance management, as well as the tooling. And it's not automating the writing of a human opinion or outsourcing trust, which is a possibility with some AI systems, right? And so you want to really make sure you're protecting against that. And something that we believe strongly is that a systematic, fair, less biased approach to performance management can't be achieved with a general user of ChatGPT, right? You know, I'd be lying if most people probably didn't put their performance reviews into ChatGPT to have it write it better for them. But there's a lot of risks that go along with that. And we think, we've seen that we've built a better system for more complete and more accurate and more trust building reviews. And the way to do that is what performance management is, which is it's connecting work systems to uncover work and behavior patterns that are and are not serving each human, right? It's not trying to automate my opinion of Jessie's performance or Jessie's opinion of her own performance. No, it is a system to document from its own perspective based on human governance, or if your HR leaders on this call, how you've designed things like job descriptions and company values and principles and things like that, that are what you're looking and expecting from employees, right? That is what you want to be able to design your system around, not to outsource trust or automate making writing faster, because that does degrade trust. So I'm going to pop into the demo real quick just to give you an idea of what this looks like. And I'm going to do it from a day in the life of a manager. And I'm going to show you my real data, which is somewhat embarrassing, but we got to do what we got to do here. So this is
transparency.
Yes, you can't fake this stuff, right? It is so personal. Every single employee of Opre and every single one of our customers, they get a different experience based on who they are, what their jobs are, all that stuff, right? So you can't fake it for demo purposes. So this is one example. I had a one-on-one with my direct report, Jeff. I get, hey, what's one thing I did well in this meeting as his manager, and what's one thing that I could have improved on? You can see I've got, Jeff basically said to me, I'm working 11 hours a day. I'm having difficulty disconnecting. And I offered really service level advice about taking breaks. And, as the founder and CEO of this company, I'm kind of glad he's working real hard,
Can you zoom in a little bit on it so people can see? It's just a little bit small. I don't know if you, that's perfect. Yeah.
There we go.
So this is the kind of like feedback you're getting as a manager.
Hyper personalized to me and to Jeff, right? And how do we do that, right? It's based on our principles as a company, right? So our version of what Opre is looking for from my management skills might be different from one of you all and your companies, right? It's
you
trained.
Build that context in?
Yes.
Ah, cool.
Yes. That's the governance piece of this, right? So that's the idea here is like, hey, what are the behaviors and norms and values that we want our employees to exhibit? How do we want managers to lead their teams? That's what Opre is looking for. And it is looking for the antithesis of those things, right? And I'm sure Deb, I don't know, Deb, if you're going to get into this or not, but AI can't look for things that aren't there. But it can look for the lack of something if you ask it to, right? So it's not, and that's the key here when we're thinking about building governance into design system or into performance management.
What is missing from this? Yes.
Exactly. So I get little reminders, right, that like this is the next week or whatever, when I'm going into my one-on-one with him, it reminds me that I needed to address work-life balance concerns with him. Right. And that's like that little reminder, that little thing that helps me understand, hey, here's what we need. And I'm going to actually, hopefully, let me tell me if you see Slack pull up here. We didn't practice this.
I see it.
Woo. Okay. So this is my version of Opre in Slack. So I can literally just say, hey, can I prepare one-on-one feedback or feedback for my one-on-one with Megan? Can I, like, this is totally customized to me. I can draft an agenda for my one-on-one with Tim, my direct report, right? So I'm just going to click this button. It automatically creates the prompt for me, and it's automatically working on my request for, what I want from it. I can also come in and chat with it directly, right? You can see all these different things that I ask Opre on a regular basis so that, I want to be able to lead these teams well, and I need to be able to chat with my own data, my own performance data to be able to do that. And I need to be able to give performance or ask it of my team as well. Like, who on my team has the highest burnout and what should I consider doing for them as a manager, right? I can walk in and actually ask that question of Opre. So that's the kind of personalization you can expect from Opre. And that's what we're here to do today, is like be able to connect and engage with our own performance data to find the patterns, to be able to understand what we're doing here. So
Kate, and what I love about this is that you're coming to, as a systems person, you're going to where they are at. You're not asking them to go somewhere else to find this information. It is right in the systems that they're already using.
That's right. That's exactly right. The one last thing I want to talk about, Opre stands for Operations Plus Relationships at Work, right? So OPRE. And performance management, one of the big things that old performance management does not accurately do well is understand the behaviors that the company and the job expect and the nuances and differences of the relationships at work, right? Work and performance is as much a social contract as it is like an employment agreement of the tasks and things we're going to do. So Opre uses a DISC work style. DISC is not not the only system that's perfect, right? There's downsides to it and all, but we actually start with a DISC profile. And when we're in your communications, we are actually understanding the standard deviation of your actual communication with your direct reports or your team members or whoever you're working with, to understand where are the patterns of where you are, let's say, very direct with someone and where you are not direct with someone. And we're pairing that data with other data, right? For instance, like I've found that I am more direct with senior level executives than I am with my direct reports. That shouldn't be, right? But that's the kind of patterns and things we can look for to be able to coach effectively to do a more forward-looking version of performance management. So in every communication, we are looking for the presence of clarity or confusion, conflict or conflict aversion, and decision or decision delay. And when we do that, we're able to push out the patterns of what each person is doing in terms of creating more clarity, engaging in conflict. We want to see the conflict, and that's evident. Like they're getting through it is evidenced by their decision making. So it is both, task and goal oriented. And I would be lying and like, here is the actual performance management system or the performance review for an annual review for my direct report, Stephen. And you can see it has behavior change in it. It has setbacks in it. It has conflicts in it, right? So this is both the operational things that he needed to do that are part of his job and the relationship and behavior things that may have changed over time, the patterns that Opre identified to be able to show Stephen and me how to help Stephen succeed and be strong in his role.
I love how it's forward thinking. I love it. I love that it's forward thinking, looking towards the future rather than dwelling on what happened or didn't happen in the past.
Yes. And, the last thing I'll say is, like, it is writing from its own perspective. It's not trying to say, hey, Deb, I thought that thing you did was great, or that thing you did sucked, right? It is looking at the requirements and putting it together in one view. So we can create that trust. And that's the main thing we get, which is so exciting for us, is we hear from managers and direct reports to be like, hey, it's no longer a me versus you situation. It is an us versus Opre. Did Opre get this thing right? And you can teach Opre how to make it better. You can talk to Opre to make sure it understands what is required, right?
Great.
So that's the dynamic. Anyway.
No, it's really interesting. It's a very different way to approach performance management than traditionally, I think. And
Yes.
I do believe in the power of like using it for good. And I think this is like actually helping people with development rather than scolding people for and having done a process. Like I've done the process, I ticked the box. Like I don't think that really helps organizations. Ticking boxes doesn't help, but actually like identifying where people can improve and develop and based on, as much information as you can get, supports people actually.
You don't even have to press a button to get your performance review. It automatically comes on the first Monday of every month, and it just comes to you, right? It shouldn't be this thing that you have to like put more stuff in and remember. And
shouldn't have to be this really annoying process that everybody hates. Really? Oh, wow. I think there's a lot to be said for how we can.
It's exhausting for everyone.
It is. And I feel like performance management, performance, whatever we want to call it, that is one of the things we have to unlock how to do well in business, because it's the only thing that will bring business forward, is to how do we help people be the best versions of themselves within the work context, and if anything, that's going to help you outside of work as well. But for the business context, that is so important. So that's why I think so many people are looking for tooling in this space. It really was interesting to see that people constantly searching AI and performance management, because I think people are ready for something new. So that being said, thank you very much for showing us that. It's really cool. Now, Kate, you're welcome to stay on. We're going to jump into the...
So excited to hear. I didn't know of Deb before this. I am on and ready for this. And I see that there's a lot of questions in the chat. I will get to them. I'll try and answer them, but I want to pay attention to this amazing presentation.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, all the questions you're asking, we take them. We don't always get to them in the webinar because we usually use up all the time like trying to give you what you asked for, giving you what we promised. So what we do is we take all the questions and we'll do a follow-up and we'll attach the answers directly. Kate's also going to follow up. I think she's got something special to offer you guys.
Yes, I do. Yep. You'll get an email from me soon.
Yeah. So if you're interested in more about that, then watch out and check your emails in the coming days. So very excited to move on now to Deb telling us, showing us how the expletive we are supposed to navigate the fact that there are so many LLMs in this world, so many AI tooling, and what do we even pick? And also I think the main thing is why do we pick one over the other, and what are they good at? And so today we're going to go into that, but we're also going to get a bit deeper. It's not just what we're going to pick. We're also going to show some use cases. We're going to show, get into the tool, show some how to, create a custom GPT, how to use some of the tools for what they're good at, but also talk about how we use them safely in the context of HR and where we need to be careful. So that being said, Deb, I'm going to hand
Don't
over.
mind me. I'm just moving things around here so I can see everything at the same time.
I mean,
Gotta
yay
see it
for
all.
screens. We're happy to see everything. So we're the challenge, I think the challenge that we have is like how do we know what to use? Like, and I think this is something that we see in lots of conversations. Where do we start?
It is it's so overwhelming. This is and it can be very open. Let's put it that way. It can be overwhelming if you let it be overwhelming. So a couple things I want to level set first of all. There are a lot of people that don't touch AI because they're like, oh, I'm bad at tech, or oh, I'm too far behind, or whatever it might be. And the reality is this: AI is not a tech tool, it's a language tool. And if you are someone who can write or speak in English or whatever your potential language may be, you can be incredibly powerful and incredibly effective with AI. So get over the whole it's a tech tool because it's a language tool. So when people come to me and they like one of my first sessions, one of the first questions I always ask is, what is the first thought or feeling that comes to mind when you hear AI? And then I have people put it in the chat or they say it. And one of my first sessions, someone wrote ocean. And I was like, ocean, can you explain that a little bit more? And they said, it's this big, incomprehensible thing that I can't get my arms around. And it's so overwhelming. And I was like, wow, you've just described pretty much 95% of people's experience with it and almost 100% of HR's experience with it, because we have been at the focal point of what's going on with AI. So I've told them that it's really helpful to think of AI like it's a shopping mall. So when you think about the different tools or whatever.
And Deb, I've asked everyone that question because I think that's a really important question that you asked. Like, what is the feeling? What is that? Let's see what people say. I want to share mine because I feel like everyone thinks that everyone's got their shit together on this. Like, it is like people look at me like it's my job to know this. I should be like very deep in this. And I am potentially ahead of, some people in this space. But I've actually the word that when I think of AI, I think of being embarrassed. And, like, it's embarrassing because sometimes I'm like, why don't I know that? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I jump in and learn that sooner? Why do I not understand this? There is a lot that I do know, but there's a lot that I don't know. And I think a lot of people, like, there's a fear to some degree, or I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to save that post on LinkedIn and come back to it. There's a lot of saving. There's a lot of, at least that's what I did. A lot of saving.
There's a lot of talking about it. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of strategizing, a lot of going to courses that are all about, this is what an LLM is. This is what it, like, literally, do you need to know how the internal combustion engine works to drive your car? No, you don't. And it's the same thing with most of the training that's out there. And it's just a symptom of an industry that's used to showing people these tech tools. And again, it's not a tech tool. It is a language tool. And it's much more about your habits and how you use it than it is about any of the technology.
In terms of
get into it.
And someone just said, of course, like there is technology involved, right? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It is a technology, but in the way in which we interact with it,
but it's a language tool.
It's a tool that we can interact with in a language basis. And there's a lot that we can do without needing to be too technical. And I think that's what I always thought, like, well, especially with Claude, like I was always like, well, I can't use Claude like Cowork or Claude Code because I need to be too technical. But anyway, we're jumping ahead. We're going to go through each of the different, like these 6 LLMs right now. We're going to look at what are they, what do they look like, and Deb is going to take us through, and we're going to show you, because not everyone has actually like seen all of them. Like I have not seen Gemini. I have not seen. I don't think we have Copilot. Do we have Copilot?
We do have. We
do
have
it
on the slide. Anyway, it is on the slide. It's Office Depot.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. So I like to think about it like it's a big ass mall, right? Because when you go to a store, or like you go to a store for a specific thing, and it should be the same way with the chatbot. You're going to a chatbot for its own specific thing that it's for, that it's good at. And each of them have something that they're better at than others are better at. So the way I think about it is this: ChatGPT, I think of it like Target. Now, if you're not in the US or you don't have Target, I'm guessing like a Carrefour or something like that would be a comparable kind of store for that. Walmart, if Walmart translates. It's just a good all-around chatbot. It does pretty much a little bit of everything. And this right here, this is what it looks like when you go into ChatGPT. looks, there's this thing in the middle, and everything looks the same. You're going to find this is very similar for all of these. They all look very similar. It's basically this big ass blank screen with a chat bot or chat box in the middle.
Now, I have to say, people are probably like, yeah, I know what ChatGPT looks like. Not everyone does.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing we need to remember, that we're starting from the basis of everyone being on the same playing field. If you've logged into ChatGPT, cool. Then we're going to go to the next thing. Do you know how to change the settings? Like, that's something that we wanted to do,
Yes.
Deb's going to show, I think if you haven't done this, do it along with us, right?
Yeah, here's the thing that I recommend. If you're going to start experimenting, create a throwaway Gmail address. Just something that you will remember, and that's something really simple that has nothing else tied to it. All of these chatbots have free programs, have free plans. You can get into all of them for free, and you can play around pretty good on the free, the free tiers of most of these. And they're all going to look very much the same. I just wanted to cover some of the other ones. You've got ChatGPT, you've got Claude. The companies that are behind this is Opre AI. This is Anthropic. Perplexity is just Perplexity. I call it the Apple Genius Bar because this is the tool that I use to actually do research when I want receipts. The thing you need to keep in mind with most large language models, chatbots, is that their data that they're using is dated. It costs a lot of money to upgrade these chatbot, like large language models, the engine that they run on. So they're always going to be 6 months to a year behind. And unless you actually ask it for something more recent, it's not going to have it. The one difference for that is Perplexity, sometimes Gemini. Gemini's gotten better with this. But Perplexity is basically a web scraper on steroids. And I think of it like, the difference between this and Google is when you type into Google something, you get back like a store directory, and you still have to go into each one of those links to find what you're looking for. Perplexity is like your personal shopper. It'll go out, find the best links for what you're trying to get done. It'll give you a summary, and then it'll give you all of the links that it went to find the information that it's summarized for you. So anytime I have to do any kind of research, user research, or anything, Perplexity is my go-to. Gemini.
You know what's funny? I don't use Perplexity at all. Sounds terrible. Now I say that, but I'm gonna start because I feel like that's a lot of the things I do is research, and I'm always like prompting the other LLMs to be like, no, find me credible sources. No, give me the reference. No, this is made
And
up.
what's fascinating about that, Jessie, that you say that is that everyone comes to me and is like, which is the best? Everyone wants to know which is the best. And I'm like, there's no best. There's whichever one is best for you or whatever you're trying to get done. That is literally what it is. And I have friends who use Perplexity for everything. They don't just use it for search. They use it for everything because they trust that it's pulling back the receipts. It does a little less of that generative stuff where it's making things up. So they love Perplexity. Gemini, I think of it like IKEA. It's associated with Google. So if you work for a company where you work in Google Workspace, Gemini is probably what you've been given. It's a great chatbot. If you want to do images, Nano Banana, which is their image generation, is in Gemini. It's awesome. It's really good. Copilot. If you are a Microsoft house, if you use, that's what I was for 24 years at Accenture, Microsoft, totally. You're going to have Copilot. Now, Copilot, I don't think is great at some of the generative stuff, some of the strategic kind of thought partner stuff. But if you are working in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Copilot is the way to go. That sucker is amazing inside the Microsoft suite. And then the last one I wanted to mention was Mistral, which a lot of people here in the US have never heard of. It is a French chatbot. It is French. And what I like about it is that it's under the EU's, like, as far as I'm concerned, the EU is the only country that are the adults in the room when it comes to AI governance. I'm just saying. They're the only ones that put any kind of guardrails or anything around it. You've got GDPR. And so Mistral is under that. It's a French chatbot. It's also cheaper. It's like $15 a month as opposed to the $20 that's pretty much for every other one. So that was what I wanted to cover. And then I was going to start to go into some of these chatbots. Now, I just want to say, everyone, if you're on your computer and doing whatever, I highly encourage you to open these chatbots as we're going through them and follow along with me. This is what I love. I love all of us in here doing our thing. And then any questions that come up, You can put them in the chat. If I don't get to them live, Jessie will send me the chat and I will respond to them within 24 hours and she will get that all out so you all get the answers.
Exactly. So please ask questions. Like if there's stuff you want to know and things you've like burning questions, like this is the place, open, safe space. This is for us to all learn together.
And we're not going to shame and blame, you know,
No.
we're not going to.
And I'm going to bet that most people on here like haven't been to all of these tools, haven't seen into all these tools. They may not have access to the Copilot or the Geminis, but they definitely probably haven't explored regularly using these tools for their, you know, positive strengths.
And here's the thing, you guys, that I want to get into. This is the thing that I need to tell everyone. There's so many people that I run into on a daily basis who can tell you exactly what an LLM and what it does and all this other stuff, but they're not actually in the tools using them. And a lot of them are searching for the perfect prompt or the perfect this or the perfect that before they actually get into it. And y'all, that's not going to serve you. You got to be in there messing around with it.
You got to get in there and you got to like, you know, like when I started, I'd just be like asking, I was kind of like using it like Google, you know, and then I realized that I could go further than just my like Google questioning. And like, then I got further and then you build on that. And then I was like, oh, I should learn how to, you know, prompt. But anyway, we're coming to that. What are you showing us now?
So I'm in the settings. This is happens to be ChatGPT or Chatty G as I call it because my lips get stuck on the PT. So I just say Chatty G. Plus it's my bud. You know, I've been using it for almost a year and a half now. You know, it's every day. So down in the lower left-hand corner, and most of these do have their settings. Most of the chatbots have them down in the lower left-hand corner. Sometimes it'll be up in the upper right, but it's usually down here. You go into settings, and it's going to be in a different place for each one, of course, because they're all individual companies. This is all their products. Everyone has their own product. In Chatty G, there is the data controls one, and there is this little thing here that called improve the model for everyone. Now, a lot of times it will be automatically on. They will have it automatically on when you log in for the first time. This is one of the first things I do in any chatbot that I open for the first time. Go into the settings, see what it is that they're trying to pull from me and get my information. This is very simple. You just turn it on and off right here. It's just a little toggle on, off.
So if everyone
don't share my data.
Not done this, highly recommend going in right now and just like doing it. And then it's done. Checked off your checklist.
Yes.
I hadn't, when I first joined, I didn't really realize, and I think I was using it for a couple of months, not realizing that I was like, had it on. And then I think I saw something on LinkedIn. It was like, turn your settings off. And I was like, oh my God. And I went and I felt like I'm so exposed. I mean, obviously like nothing I was doing was exciting, but like, you know, just the feeling that it was on was like, gave me like the creeps a little bit. So if you haven't done it, go do it. This is going to come to the part of this. We're going to come to this as well around like HR and like sensitive data, but this is just personal, like, you know, just hygiene. Turn it off. You don't need to be giving free data away.
I did the same thing in Claude down here in the left hand. I went into settings, I went to privacy, and down here, it's just this one little thing here, help improve Claude. I love y'all, but I ain't going to give you my data. And so
not if we don't have to.
Now, here's the thing for those who are Claude users, they were very sneaky about how they do this, y'all. This is the one thing you have to keep in mind with every AI you use. It is a product by a company that's trying to make money, right? So they're going to do what they do to try and make money. This is why all of these chatbots have this really annoying sycophantic thing where like, oh, you're the most intelligent person I've ever, and they're like so helpful. Every single one of these is designed to be a super helpful, super competent intern. That's how they relate with you. And they will continue to relate like that if you just use it as like a vending machine. Type in one thing, get an answer back, and then you take that and run, and you don't push back on it. You have to be in control. You are the driver. Every single one of you is the driver. Okay, I'm off my rant there.
So if you're using Claude, that's how you do it.
Yep.
And then I used Claude. It was one of the first things I did. I actually moved from ChatGPT as like my core day-to-day tool to Claude recently because I don't like just personally some of the things, you know, that they're, you know, where they're putting their money. I don't like the idea that I think I saw something about them trying to like, you know, connect all your contacts and get all your contact web and like all this stuff. But there's just too many red flags for me with like ChatGPT that I don't need to pay them. So I turned off my Pro plan and I moved over to Claude, which was like the best decision ever. But it's amazing. I hadn't used Claude. It was amazing. But yeah, it was the first thing I did was turn that off. So make sure you also think about like, you know, if you're going to be paying for something, if you're going to pay for one of them, like choose the one that that
That's
ticks
why
off.
I recommend to play around first. This is why it behooves you. Do you like that word? Behooves. Where did that come from? It's probably the unicorn behind me with the hooves. Anyways, this is my brain,
That's one
y'all.
of my favorite words. I love that word.
So this is literally it. You want to try them out because each of them are going to have a different feel to them. I was a chatty-aholic for the longest time, and then I started using Claude, and I was like, oh, Claude. And now I am literally in 3 or 4 different tools during the day, and I choose the tool that does the job that I want done the best with the least amount of effort on my part. That's literally how I choose. Okay, so let's make sure we're on our time. So we did the Mistral, blah, 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 Perplexity. What did we want to talk about? We did the settings. I just want to make sure we're doing okay with our time here. Oh, I was going to show you all some of the other features. So I'm closing everything out. I just closed. There's Gemini. I'm going to close Claude. We're going to get into Chatty G here. Any questions that I need to cover?
Remind everyone what type of things ChatGPT is good for you. What kind of use cases are good if we're going to pick ChatGPT, remind everyone, like, what is the best thing for that? Someone asked, what was the question? I work alone. What tool would be used as a discussion partner for thinking out loud or discussing new ideas or testing my thoughts?
Both of them. I mean, any of the ones are pretty good for just that type of use case. If you want to get deeper into like thinking about things, for instance, Chatty G is always going to be pretty surface. And unless you push it, it's not going to go very deep. Claude, on the other hand, is just built in with nuance. It's got a much better. So Chatty G, like I'm going to show you all because I make images. This is how I started making images, was like through using ChatGPT. And anything that you see on my LinkedIn, most of it was created in ChatGPT. This is where
it's good for like, because I know that Claude doesn't do that. Like if you like make me an image,
do not go to Claude for images. You will be very disappointed.
I think it even told me it can't do that. I was like, oh, and then it was annoying because I just swapped to Claude, and then I had to go crawling back.
You know what it looks like? It reminds me of, and I'm going to give away my age here right now. It reminds me of Pong. The first time I saw my brothers playing Pong on a TV with like it had these 2 like lines and it just this like that's what images from Claude look like. Now that's to say you can't just generate an image, but Claude is amazing at creating documents, at PowerPoints, all sorts of other things. But I'm not going to get into that because that will get me distracted. And we need to be on topic here because I get really excited about this. So, Chatty G, great for all around chatbot. This is my workhorse. Claude is where I go to when I want nuance, when I want polish, when I want some other things. But when I've just got a whole load of data that I just need to crunch through and go through, Chatty G is my go-to because it's really good at this. The other thing is GPT.
So we've got images, data crunching, general like question, just playing around general
any
stuff.
writing, any just general writing that you have to do that's not like a performance review or anything that's really personal or intense, I would not use Chatty G for that. Chatty G is great for business conversations, for your own personal stuff. But if you want to get into the nuance of things and really get the human side of things, I would go to Claude. That's my personal opinion.
That's good. So that's a good summary of that.
For why you would use it. And like I said, Gemini and Copilot, brilliant in their workspaces. If you are a Google person, Gemini is your go-to. Gemini is incredibly powerful, y'all. Same thing with Copilot. But again, if you want to do any kind of ideation, anything where that generative part is really big, I would go to one of the bigger chatbots. That's me personally. But I know people who all they've ever used was Copilot, and they can do amazing things with their Copilot. So it's really wherever you spend your most time.
So if you're at work, and you've got one of these, you've probably got Google, or you've got Microsoft, right? So you've probably got one or the other potentially at work. You've got access to them. Like, jump into it and start like playing around with them. If you don't, ask about your policies. If you don't know if you have them, don't know if you have access, like definitely try and leverage like your enterprise tooling if you have it, especially for HR specific work, right? Like for work stuff. This is like how to choose the right AI for HR. But I mean, all of us are individuals. We all need this skill regardless what profession in day-to-day life. So I think, these all can give you guidance in terms of how to think about each of these tools, regardless what hat you have on. Home hat, mother hat, friend, my, ideating for a party for my kid. Like, it doesn't really matter, I think that's the takeaway. Like, we just need to be bold enough to go in and start learning them
Just
and
start
start getting
paying.
into the details, right?
Just start experimenting, really. And because I know a lot of people, like, they immediately go, oh, what am I going to share with it? Or what, I can't use it for work because of personal data and or because I might reveal data. And what people don't think about is the fact that you can anonymize any data you want.
Okay, here's a good one that came up just now. So someone
Okay.
just wrote, which one of these do you think is best for summarizing an interview transcript based on a job description? I
Oh
think that's
gosh,
where the sensitive data would come in.
any of them would be. And again, what I would do,
But sensitive data, no, we wouldn't.
oh no, so no, this is what I would do. Okay, so you get the transcript, right? And I don't know how you're getting it. Are you getting it with a video? Are you getting, all of it comes down to that it's text, y'all. Again, it's a language tool. Everything comes down to text. So you dump that text into Google or Word, and then you do a find and replace. And anytime it says your company name, you replace it with something else. Anytime it says a person's name, you replace it with something else. Anything that's like a personal identifier, you find and replace. And then you run it through the chatbot.
So you want to, and not, you can, so the effectively, if you're going to put stuff into any of these tools,
Yep.
you should anonymize data first.
But
Take out personal
if you're
identifiers.
on an enterprise version of it, that shouldn't be something you have to worry about. And that, it depends on how your company has it set
also,
up.
like, your policy at work will matter. Kate wants to say something.
I was just going to say, I was going to pop in here. You know, it is really hard. I think that interviewing, and for us from a performance standpoint, that's something where you know, it does make sense to look to a third party to buy a tool that is looking at this from all different perspectives. Like, for instance, something that we do that I hope that the job interview tools do too. We go in, we automatically, across an entire like set of one-on-ones, for instance, or entire set of meetings, we will go in, we'll generate a performance review, and then we will go back through the data, automatically change all of the pronouns from she, her to he, him, and see, do we get the same results in the performance review?
I love that. Oh my God, I love it.
You know what I mean? So it's things like that that you need to have those. Like, a vendor is a good place to look for those kinds of security and design approach that you can't necessarily expect everyone to build into a prompt every time they're looking for, you know, doing an interview data or like that kind of thing.
So I think the summary of that is, we're not putting sensitive personal data into these tools regardless, right? And if they're enterprise tooling, still make sure you check your internal policies about what you should share. Like, don't just be like throwing it in just because it's an enterprise version. I think you still share what your company's comfortable with. And I agree that when people are always like, let's build this thing, I don't believe that we should just be vibe coding and building internally in HR. I think there's a lot of bias. I think there's a lot of things that you don't know when building. These tools are very powerful, but that doesn't mean we know what to build appropriately, right? And we don't think about all the guardrails, and we're not held to the same standards for just like playing around. So I think we need to be really careful. But what you can do with these tools, and this is what we're getting to now, once we like think about what we're choosing and like what they're good at, you know, you can build custom GPTs to help you on a daily basis with your work in these tooling. And it doesn't have to be something that has sensitive data. It doesn't have to be something that is compromising.
And you don't need to know anything about coding or technology or anything. You don't.
So this is so what we're going to look at here is something that Deb built for herself.
Yep. I built it for other people, actually. It's out on the store. Y'all can go and find it. I can give you the link to it if you want. Y'all can use it.
What does that mean, it's out on the store? For people who don't know what a custom GPT is, what is the custom GPT?
Let's actually go to GPTs. Okay, so explore GPTs. Okay, so a GPT, I'm not going to tell you what that is because eyes are going to glaze over. But basically what it is that you're still using a large language model, except that you've created these guardrails or these kind of structures around how you want it to relate with the LLM. You are telling it, I want you to relate to it with this, and these are the rules that you follow, and these are the things you cannot do, and that kind of thing. So it's basically putting guardrails, your own personal like instructions around it. So when you go out to GPTs, you can see that there's a bunch of them here that are already created by other people that they share. The great thing about a GPT is that you can share it with other people. So you could build something for your HR team and then share it with everyone on your team, and you're all going to be using that same tool.
Yeah.
The same idea of a GPT exists in other ones as well. Like in Claude, it would be projects. Projects is the closest thing to a GPT that you would have in the Claude tool. Gemini, it would be a gem. So all of these tools, that's the thing. You guys, we're at the very beginning of the sucker. Y'all, it's like 1997, the first time I opened Netscape at my office and saw the Amazon site with all it, like, that's where we are with AI right now. You are not behind. Stop telling yourself that. It is still at the very beginning of everything. There's still plenty of time to learn and play with these things and still be incredibly effective with it. Start now. It's just going to be easier. It's going to make your life easier later on. Okay, so GPTs, you can search for one. I think if I search, oh, there's mine right there at the top. It's right there in the store. And when I go here and I look at all of my GPTs, I can actually see how many people have used my GPT. So where is my HR? It's had over 300 chats. So it's open to other people use. Other HR pros are using it. They're finding it effective. I did not build this by just myself. I went to open.org and I said, hey, you guys, I got this idea for this GPT. And then John Faulkner Wilcox was like, Deb, you could improve it by doing this. I was like, oh, and then other people were testing it. And we all had this kind of group mentality around how can we make this GPT really effective? Now, people get really intimidated by GPT. They're like, GPT, it's a little, it's so, you guys, every one of these is so easy. The basics of this. I'm going to go into this GPT. I'm going to go into the background of it. Now, when you first create and by the way, you can only create GPTs if you're paying for ChatGPT. Just fully transparent.
But like, let's say I have a personal like GPT account. I have $20 a month. I'm paying for it. I can go in and create something that I could use potentially for work purposes, so for HR purposes, but is not. Remember, we're not putting sensitive data. We're not doing silly things like that. We're asking the questions, which we're going to come to at the end. The questions you should ask yourself before you put data in to help yourself when it's to do with like HR stuff. It shouldn't stop you doing things. It just is something to have as like the switch on when you're thinking about using them. It's not the blocker, it's the boundary, more or less.
Stop using it as an excuse not to use it, y'all.
Yeah, like I feel like that's what I really wanted to get out of this, that people are like, oh, there's all these tools, they all do different things. We can use them for even if your work doesn't pay for it, you can still utilize them to improve yourself. And this is ways you can do that. So this is one of the things. Deb is being a widow. She's updating her GPT.
Just to show you how it is. On the left-hand side is where you're actually setting up your GPT. And on the right-hand side, it's showing you what it looks like when you make the changes. Now, I'm not actually going to make that change. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to save it. But I'm going to put this back in here. HR Automation Advisor. I'm obviously not going to save it when I do it, but it's very simple. You give it a description, and then it's literally the instructions. You write what you want it to do and what you don't want it to do. You say what it can do, you say what it should not do, and you put it in the instructions here, and then you've got a GPT. Like that's it. And then also you can put these little conversation starters like here. I could put like, hi, Jessie. And if
so it gives you like, what this does is it allows you to have it allows you to give context and a way to approach a topic the same way every time. So think about these things, answering this way, have this context before you give.
These are very good for if you have one thing that you do a lot, like for anything that's repetitive, like you're consistently doing this one task over and over and over and over again. It takes up 3 hours of your week or whatever it is. Create a GPT that does it for you. You click.
What about like HR policy like generation for, I don't know.
Totally.
The never starting with a blank page, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a very good point, Jessie. So I'm one of those people that a blank page for me is like, I'm immediately like, oh my God, what do I start with? And I love being able to come to an AI and just be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. Give me something, to start with. And then I can start to have something there. And then I'm the human in the loop. This is the thing, y'all. AI is useless without humans. It's freaking useless without humans. It needs a human to initiate it. It needs a human to actually make it work, to make it worth its existence. It needs human interaction. Just keep that in mind. The only other thing I'm going to show is that, so basically a GPT is, you give it a name, you give it instructions, and then if you have any knowledge documents that you want it to reference, you plug those in. You've got a GPT. I'm gonna run a quick thing to it. The one thing I did want to point out is this. Again, remember, these are products being put out by companies. Down here at the very bottom, there's this additional settings. Use conversation data in your GPT to improve our models. That's that same thing in the settings, but here they're putting it in the GPT and they're going to go, oh, anyone who chats with this from anywhere. Now, I'm assuming that it wouldn't work for me because I have it in my settings, but if I shared this GPT with someone else and they didn't have those guardrails on their settings, it would share their data. So that's something.
I just want to answer one of the questions. So they said, this troubling advice, if your work doesn't pay for it or doesn't allow you to use things in HR, then you're not allowed to use it. Saying you do is irresponsible. So I think I want to clarify that, because I didn't say you should use it. I think you can use, so if I'm like thinking about how I do my job and I want to ask an LLM questions and there's no sensitive data and it's not passing anything like about a company through, I can definitely chat with it and be like, I'm not sure how to like deal with this, with a difficult situation, or I don't know how to, like, there's stuff that you can put in there. I don't even know the right example right now, but there's definitely things that you can do. Help me draft like a friendly email that
How
says,
can
I'm
I
gonna
say
help
this in a
someone.
way that sounds less like I use it all the time for, I'm sounding really wimpy in this. I need you to actually say
Yeah,
this in a way that gets my point across, or that I can say this in a way that's not going to
yeah.
offend anyone, or I have it look at my writing, like I'll write something and I'll dump it in and I'll be like, what am I missing in this? What am I saying that I don't realize that I'm saying?
Yeah. So I absolutely don't recommend at all, and I'm not absolutely not suggesting, and none of us are, that you should put like work stuff that shouldn't be in these systems in these systems. That's what we're saying we should not do. That's the bit you should not do. You should ask yourself questions to know what that is, but that doesn't mean you can't like ask more generic things to help you individually with your tasks at work, or even that just help enhance you, or to help enhance how you think
Make
about
your
things, or
life
to
easier,
brainstorm.
y'all. HR is
Um,
doing way too much manual stuff right now with all the systems that we have to try and make them work. Y'all, we were handed these systems and basically said, make it work. And so there's a whole extra load on HR that other functions don't have to worry about. And anything that you can offload to a tool, because that's all this is, y'all. It is a tool.
but
Anything you can offload to a tool is good.
Sorry, I want to answer the question that came up. He said something about the person here said something about in creating internal documents. So when I suggested you could like potentially create like an internal policy draft, I meant you can ask it to give you a starting point. I need to do a policy on time off. Can you give me a structure to think about this? Copy paste, put it in a Word document in your
Oh, here's
system,
an
and then work
idea.
on
Go to
that,
Perplexity and say,
right?
what are
Or
some
okay, so
what are some publicly available policies out there on this specific thing?
exactly.
Pull that back in, dump it into an
Yeah.
LLM or into a chat bot or whatever, and then work from that.
You know how you used to like, you know how work, like, I don't know about you guys, but like me at work, I'd be like, oh, I need to do this thing. I need to do a project plan. I'd be like, example project plan into Google. I'd be like, give me an example project plan so I don't have to start from zero. Instead of putting it into Google and searching for like an example project plan to like start your task at work, you can like go into, like Deb said, Perplexity, ask it. It'll give you like examples of whatever, right? So I think
Mhm.
it's important to understand where AI can be helpful in HR and give you like, go from 0 to 10, 0 to 40 with the bit that isn't sensitive. You're
Mhm.
that much faster. You don't start from the blank page, but you then transfer that into your system. You transfer back into a Word doc, and then you start working from that place, right? You don't have to then use AI to complete the task, but you can use it to help you start tasks and to be faster and more, maybe like broaden how you're thinking. Maybe you didn't know there was existing documentation in the world that was open source, whatever. So I want to be clear that like I think we're very quick in HR to jump to, oh, but we shouldn't do that. But that's not allowed. And I think that's what we're trying to get to, is that we think about the things that, not what we aren't allowed to do, but what we can do as part of a task that is allowed. Even if our company's like, you're not allowed to do that. It's like you can Google open source documents on Google, I'm sure, right? You know, like it's training ourselves to be like, this is a tool. We need to be careful. And how can we leverage it?
And for
I
me,
hope that answers the question. I just didn't want people to think that we were, like, suggesting we
go
create
ahead,
specific
willy-nilly, throw
documents
all
today.
of it in there. No, we're not saying that. We're saying that there are ways to make these tools work for you. It's simply altering the way that you're looking at it. Right now, HR looks at what we can't do. Why don't we look at what we can do?
One thing that is worth noting here is if your company has provided you with a Copilot license or a ChatGPT license or whatever, that means that they have branched their version and all the data that you put into that version of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever off of what you could potentially train the LLM on, right? It is at the corporate level, it has been branched away so that your company is making sure that you and all your employees are not accidentally sharing private information. I still think that you shouldn't put personally identifiable information,
Never.
right? However, your policies, for instance, like they sit on a Google Drive, right? It's the same, or a whatever, in the cloud somewhere. It's sort of the same thing for the corporate licensed
Made
version of
clear.
these things, right?
Exactly. Some people
And so,
have enterprise plans that are enterprise, but they're not in that way. So I
right.
think like when they're that set up, and I think this is where like understanding what your company offers is like the first step in like, what do we have? What are we allowed to access? Give me the lowdown on like what I'm allowed to do. Give me the policies. Let me work out my boundaries that I'm allowed to operate within. And then we've got 3 minutes left. So I actually want
We got
to
to switch from asking for permission. That's all
can
I'm
I
saying.
well, yeah, exactly. Like asking, and don't wait for someone to push it onto you and like give you the platter, right? Like take control of it
Ask
yourself.
for forgiveness. Build
Don't ask
something for
okay.
yourself that you use in your company approved tools.
Yeah.
And then afterwards say, hey, I did this thing. This is what it's doing. Make sure that you got all your bases covered. And I tell you, 9 times out of 10, the company is going to applaud you for taking the initiative and for creating something. And they'll
They
say,
will. Like
yeah, can we
especially if
branch
you're
this out? Can we
working
make this bigger? Can we make it company wide?
especially if we're working within the boundaries that make sense for like business, right? And I think that's where the skills that you have for this in business and in HR, they can help you in work in home life as well, right? Like these are, and I think this is where it's really important to remember that like these are skills for life now. They're not skills for HR. They're not skills for like this job, this company. They're skills for life now. That's why I really encourage people and want to do these sessions to show how to get into them, how to ask the right questions, how to start thinking. Like all these questions were great today because it makes people think. You like you're the thing I like about the questions is people are like, hang on a minute, we're not allowed to do that. I'm like, okay, let's break it down. What can we do with this task? What are we allowed to do? And that's the bit that we need to get to. And we're 2 minutes out, and I don't want to keep people because it's late. But Deb, I think Deb's going to share this framework. We're going to follow up with an email. This is her prompt framework, which I think everyone should have a look at because the context you give makes a huge difference to what you get out. But what I would like to share at the end, because we said we're going to get to it, is the questions to ask yourself before you put data into a system. Just like a couple of quick questions that I like to ask myself, that Deb likes to ask herself, that people should ask in HR because we are in a high risk zone in what we do and we operate, to help you understand, should I put this data and what should I be doing, right? Oh,
That's my in your face thing to keep me on track with getting to
oh,
meetings
good.
on time. Otherwise, my brain is like, yeah.
So let's jump into these and then we've got to wrap up.
Cool. Well, and I just wanted the quick Rocco framework. This is my 4-letter framework for creating prompts. This is platform agnostic. So you can do this framework in any chatbot. Give it a role, an objective, context, and output. You're going to get a pretty decent response back if you have those 4 elements in any prompt that you write. And honestly, a prompt, y'all, it's just an order. It's just a request. That's all you're doing. That's all a prompt is. Don't let anyone, intimidate you into thinking that it's just like really engineering, blah, blah, blah. No, it's language. We're using language that you use every day. What specific job do you want to get done? Ask for that. Like, get clear on what it is that you want to get done. What level of sensitivity does this task have? What's the worst case scenario if it goes wrong? And then, can I test this in a low risk way first? What's the smallest piece of this that I could do in a low risk way that I could test it and give it a try?
Exactly. And I think it's important to note that like, I'm in Europe, you guys in the US, like we have we have GDPR, we have the EU AI Act, of course there's things we need to be careful with, especially highly sensitive things, recruitment, your personal data, all these things. Going from 0 to 100 is not where you need to start. We need to start with
0 to 1. 0
What
to
are you trying to
1.
get exactly, what are you trying to get done? Break down the task. Like we talked about the policy. You could definitely do that, and that's no issue, right?
Yep.
Give me a policy draft template that I can start with, copy paste into your normal Word, move on. Like there's lots of help me draft an email on this topic. Give me some ways to say this in a nice way. Whatever it might be. Like none of that is really anything that you need to worry about. The stuff you need to worry about is personal data. You need to worry about decision making. You need to worry about make sure you have human in the loop. Like obviously nothing should decide anything when it's AI, right? I think it's just being conscious. And I
Yeah.
think we're very heavily conscious on that end. And I absolutely believe we should be, but I think it shouldn't dampen our spirit to
It shouldn't
learning.
be the reason that we use to not do anything with it at all. I mean,
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. And it really, people are like, how did you get something? I'm like, it was just me going in there and asking it questions. That's literally how I started. I'm like, I'm unemployed. I can't seem to get a job to save my life. I think I need to build a business. How would I do that? Chatty G. And that's all it was.
yeah,
When you don't know what to ask it how to ask.
Exactly.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
what I think I want, but I'm not sure. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It is literally you just, and if there's anything, like there's a question that you've been wanting to ask someone and you're like, I can't ask that because it'll make me look stupid, or I can't ask that because whatever. Ask the LLM because it ain't judging yet. It's just a machine. It's a pattern recognition buddy. And that's all it's
yeah.
doing.
I think at the end of the day, we just need to take the learning, these tools aren't going away. So the more we know about
Mhm.
their strengths, their weaknesses, where we need to be careful, where we can leverage them, where we can speed up our abilities, where it can enhance us
We
rather
need
than
more women. We need more
yeah,
women to be involved in this. HR is 70% women globally. We need more of you to be in here
yeah.
and creating the
We
guardrails,
don't
and creating the ethics and the morality around using it. Just
Yeah, we do. We need more women in this space, and we need more people in general in the HR space feeling comfortable with it. And this session came out of people telling me that they weren't sure and didn't use them because they weren't
Mhm.
sure and they didn't even know where to start. It's not even about HR, it's about even where to start. And I think that's important that we know that we're all in this together and we're not behind. We can quickly get behind, but I think we're at the point where we're still not behind. We just need to jump on it. So I hope this inspired people to like jump in, go have a look. Make sure you change your privacy settings. Make sure we ask those questions. They're going to be shared in the follow up from this. So, and yeah, thank you, Kate. Thank you, Deb, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's been a pleasure. I'm so excited about Opre. I'm just telling you, now that I know that it's based on, I'm even more like, I gotta check it out.
You're on
Oh,
mute. You're on mute.
you're on moot. You're on moot. You're on moot, Kate.
Sorry. Thank you so much. If anyone's interested in a demo, I'll follow up the links one-on-one. I usually need like 30 minutes to do it, so I really tried to like spin through this. So I didn't even show you half of the amazing things that it does. But yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to connect with you all and to learn from you. And yeah, I think this was a great session.
And if y'all aren't connected with me on LinkedIn yet, connect with me. I am not one of those people who's like, yeah, I pretty much connect with anyone who isn't trying to pitch slap me in my DMs. That I will, connect with pretty much anyone.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I definitely I've just dropped the Deb and my LinkedIn in the chat if you want to connect with us. Sorry, Kate, I didn't find it fast enough to drop it in the chat.
All good. I already did it.
Good. So we're going to close out. Like I said, follow-up emails coming. Deb has a Prompt Joy Club you can join. She has free email she sends out with lots of information. So you should
My
check that out.
newsletter, my weekly newsletter, mostly human.
Weekly newsletter, mostly human. Kate has obviously the product. She's happy to share more with you, and she's going to do a follow-up as well of her own with a special offer. So make sure you watch out for it. And thank you again for joining, everyone. I hope this was good. If not, give me feedback. Tell me what I can do better. I'm here to make sure you learn something. So that's what we want to do. Give feedback. And
Always teaching. Always
that's
teaching.
right. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.